Hello and welcome back to Crypto. Oh my God, everybody, the markets are soaring. The debt is outpacing the economy 2-1. The only way out is inflation, so you better buy some goddamn Bitcoin. Anyway, we're talking about tokenizing everything and what the fuck that means. Let's get into it. Kind of funny, this conversation has picked up a lot of steam recently with Jess, the lead of the base platform that would be the L2 rollup I discussed about decentralization, yada yada, from Coinbase, and he was talking about basically taking all of content in the world and tokenizing it in one way or another. This got people very hot and bothered, but this is actually harkening back to the greatest success story of our current cycle, which would be Pump.Fun. And look, if you're prone to seizures, fast-moving lights, if you're delicate with anime, I might not recommend this website. It is one of the most chaotic things that I have ever seen. And I've actually had a real kind of come to Jesus moment with the aesthetics of this, which at first I saw and was like, oh my God, and now I've come to learn and love. It is just a dopamine hit machine. I mean, look at the jiggles and the wiggles, and all of this is attached to the Grand Casino. So Pump.Fun took the industry by storm this cycle, really was the foundation of the meme coin explosion, which I've gone on to say in the past is also fundamentally related to the breaking of the broader market dynamics in the cryptocurrency industry. However, meme coins, very easy to launch, very fun, are get-rich-quick scheme. Still probably the greatest way to quickly increase your wealth, but also potentially lose it. That does exist today in crypto. Now, Pump.Fun comes out, they're the first mover, and they started to do some really interesting explorations, like releasing live streams. Now, they were unmoderated live streams, so we got into some pretty crazy concepts, like this guy who threatened to murder his goldfish. I mean, frankly speaking, I think he was going to use a gun, so like I don't really know what a 9mm bullet to a bag of water with a goldfish in it will do. It'll do something, and it'll cause a lot of wetness, but like fish might make it. Anyway, we went and we jumped the shark here. They had to pull that back. They realized the content moderation got really dark. People were threatening things. They were taking on all sorts of aggressive actions, saying basically, if you don't pump my coin, I will cause a ruckus. That's not a place we want to be in. Now, Pump.Fun has reopened that product line, basically having a live stream attached to a token. And ultimately, they're moving forward to saying, hey, you can launch a live stream with a token and then launch subsequent streams beyond it. To some degree, I actually think there's legs there because we're talking about a tokenized YouTube channel. I think that's really fun, and for creators that are going to stay around for a really long time, which is really how it works in YouTube as well, this is an interesting reward mechanic. Can you trade a coin in the same way we're seeing Trump coin traded around a content creator? However, being the king of the hill is a difficult position to maintain. As evidenced by Jay-Z and Kanye, people are going to come for that throne. And that's exactly what I want to hop into very quickly today. So we have this explosion of meme coin launchpads, all of which allow you to very easily launch a coin. I did so on Raydium the other day, and I've actually been really well rewarded. They're airdropping me Ray token as a mechanism to reward my token launch. So even though the provider didn't do great, I've made like $6-7. You know, I might be able to go out and buy a bagel at the end of the day. Depends on inflation. But that being said, with all the profits flowing into Pump.com, and Pump has a great model, they just basically take fees based on everything that happens. They have fees on the upside. They take that Solana, they sell that Solana, and they just keep the dollars. It's a very nice business to run. It's a casino model, and the house generally wins. So we now have Raydium, which you've seen me explore, and does a pretty decent job at supporting the token prices. You can see that when a dev launches a token, they have a bot that's really trying to make that market to make these things kind of work. Now, my experience is when tokens do graduate from the launchpad into an actual mint, they tend to fail very quickly. You can see that there's all sorts of weird collusion going on, people buying large amounts of assets early on. This is called sniping, and then they dump later. So we have Raydium, the launchpad, and then of course Bonk, the classic meme coin of the Solana ecosystem, is also getting in on it. And this makes sense. If you have a meme coin foundation, why not build on top of that lore, right? This meme coin is the greatest place for more meme coins. And of course, we got Mick Bonk, we got, Sponge Monkeys. That's pretty sick. But look, we get into it. Now, it's kind of funny to me that they're actually simplifying the UX. They're taking a cleaner approach. We're seeing a lot of dogs, but it is just kind of lacking that flair that Pump.Fun has, which is like, hey, man, you got to do this now. You're going to have a heart attack. Like, this fires off all of my internal chemicals and really puts me into a fight or flight. But that being said, Bonk has a great team. They've got a lot of resources. There's a treasury, so they can do a lot to maintain this ecosystem. And today, well, I should say this week, there's this launch of Pump.Fun, which honestly I haven't explored. And the idea here is join a cult. The next 100x meme coin may be waiting for you right here. So this is a similar concept, however, a little more predatory on cache that has already been built. And we can see that evidenced by the results when you look up Boop. You have a lot of influencers coming out saying that Boop dog shit coin is a generational short, whatever the first listing is. Griffluencers will be scrambling to sell their free bags. The sad part is I fell for it, Boop. And basically what Boop does is it goes to influencers or people with large social networks and says, hey, you should launch a coin based off your cache, and we will give you an airdrop that correlates with how many people follow you. So it is very grifty straight from the get-go, and it's trying to sort of reverse. And unlike this Pump.Fun idea of building a live stream with a token at the inception, which hopefully the token would grow if you built the content, this is basically saying you already have a following and let's kind of incentivize you to dump on your followers. So we're getting a wide exploration into the world of launching coins for everything, for anything. Let's keep in mind, blockchains are going to continue to scale. It's going to get cheaper. The transactions per second are going to increase. And what this means, especially with the addition of AI, is that we will be able to tokenize every goddamn thing. I saw today earlier a tweet from Tolly. I don't have it to pull up, but he basically posted a picture of Ruby Rod, who is one of my favorite characters from The Fifth Element. Ruby does constant live streams of his life. It's like a 24/7 dialogue radio show. And Tolly was like, why not have influencers on? We'll tokenize every word of everything they say. And this just gets back to my core point and the message that I want to make. Just as Jesse said, we're going to tokenize all content. We're going to bring everything on chain. It is clear as day with these launch pads that anything that can be tokenized will be tokenized. When we automate this through AI, through robotics, through just, automation, we will indeed see an infinity supply set of coins. This means that just expect an overflow. There is going to be more supply than there is demand. I do think this will get exhausting. It will actually benefit everybody, again, that's building real businesses that has things of substance, but do expect that if it can be tokenized, it will be tokenized. I think resisting this is something that many in the industry are very prone to do because they don't want to see this esoteric niche that they once had. To create a coin used to take developer resources. It used to cost a decent amount of money. You had to know someone who wrote in Solidity on Ethereum, and now it's been reduced to just come and launch. And we, again, haven't even automated it that well. It still takes the tiniest bit of effort. But if you watched my meme coin episode, that effort, again, very slim, very small. My core point here is that in a world where we tokenize everything, it is on the builders, it is on us inside the industry to create useful functions for assets for these tokenized things. If we can tokenize everything, that means that the value of these has to trend towards zero. This is an asymptote. We simply cannot create infinity value. In fact, that's the very fiat-based idea that Bitcoin was built to rail against. However, we will begin to see application layers, which do allow for some sort of maybe future market or content betting in which tokenized elements do begin to get pulled into their own games. It's going to be very interesting to see what builders do. However, we're going to simultaneously have to juggle a grift narrative that tokens are launching for everything, that Boop is trying to get influencers to dump on their audience, that just shit is piling up like the streets of Europe back in the days of old. And it is, again, on us, on the builders and on the people in the industry to, again, find an alignment and a core to this chicanery, to this just sheer scale of madness in shitcoins. And for that, I'm actually pretty excited. I think we're going to see a variety of applications come out that actually do take some gamified metrics and say, hey, we know that you can tokenize everything. So we created a set of rules, we created some interesting elements, and we want you to compete in whatever this game might be. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what comes out of the infinite drip of crap and turns it into something useful, something fun, maybe something with utility. I also do believe that we will reach an exhaustion point on just useless coins that may be very helpful for going back to value-based coins. You know I love DeFi, you know I love things with revenue, and I particularly love decentralized assets that can share that revenue with token holders without being deemed a security. That is where my true heart lies. And to everybody, I'm excited to see that grow, to see that thrive, but to again see some fun apps that come out and really do let you leverage the fact that we can tokenize everything. But again, why do we want to tokenize everything is going to become important. The rules of the game will be fundamental, and it should just be a good time, right? AR lets us take computing out into the real world, and now we get to add the value layer of computing. One of the final points I want to make is that, of course, this will make crypto look like a hot scam. There is no doubt about it. There's going to be infinite garbage. We cannot let the powers that be, the journalists that look at this and say, oh my God, this represents the entire industry. What we are seeing is the digital layer exploding. This is the digital layer of value. It will ultimately maintain the digital layer of truth, as the blockchain does create a history, a recorded history, a verifiable history of what's going on in the digital sphere. And it will be on us to say, guys, this is just another digital layer. Anybody can do whatever they want. You can do terrible things on email. You can make awful websites. Scams occur through email all the time. They occur through my cell phone, which is also a digital communications device. Facebook is basically an entire tool for taking my personal information and selling me shit advertisements for crap products. There is nothing unique to what's happening in crypto that puts it forth as a scam versus everything else that we see out there in the world. So I want to make this point, and I want to hammer it in, that we are building real things of value and merit. It is going to be on us, the few inside that actually understand what's going on, that can sift the wheat from the chaff. And that is the message that we do need to keep shouting pretty loudly, because the stupidness is only going to increase. But, you know, we're living in the age of stupidity right now, so fuck it. If you can't beat them, join them. Am I right? Anyway, have fun in these markets. It's good to see some green. Stay safe. Don't get too levered up, and I'll see you tomorrow.